Hey everybody, it's Tim Sackett. We're back with another episode of HR Famous. Today, it's just me and I was gonna say me and my girl, Jessica Lee. I can kind of say that it doesn't sound like you're my girl. Like we're friends, right? Because if you're like my boy, like people aren't gonna go, oh my gosh, like there's not gonna take any connotation to that. So I'm
It's
gonna
my
say that
girl.
it's my girl, Jessica Lee. Jessica, how are you doing?
It's the dynamic duo, Tim, Jessica. I'm good. And I think when people I know them well call me like, "Oh, this is my girl. Hey girl." I'm okay with that. But like if you don't know me and you're calling me a girl, then it's a
Mm-hmm.
problem. But I'm all good. I'm like, New Year's resolution, trying to make it happen, trying to get some muscle tone built. Isn't that like
Yes.
amazing like everyone else? I'm gonna focus on weights and strength this year rather than cardio. That's the goal.
Yeah, we talked about New Year's resolutions, I think one of the last episodes, but I need to add I need to add stretching. Like the
Oh
older I get,
yeah.
I was in Boston end of last year and met with one of my high school friends, and he's like fantastic shape. And I'm like, dude, like literally, come on, like, and he's always been like really, good shape. He was a college athlete, this whole thing, but like, he's very purposeful about like what he does. And I'm like, so what are you doing? He's like, literally, he has this regimen where like 30 minutes every day, he's like, all I do is stretch. Like I have all these stretches I do. And I'm like, and he looks amazing. I'm like, you're stretching. I mean, he doesn't, I mean, again, he doesn't eat awful. I mean, he doesn't eat great, but he also, but like the stretching thing really helps. And I'm like, oh, I need to stretch. I need to stretch more.
Oh, I agree with that. And like there's all sorts of apps now about like how to improve your elasticity. They have stretching gyms now as well. I don't know who goes to them, but I am like
I
the
need
least
to be. Yeah.
flexible. I need to as well. Like I can't even touch my toes. I can't. And actually we like my kids can do the splits. I'm so inflexible. I'm going to start stretching. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is. Well,
I'm
so we
gonna
don't have
stretch
Madeline
now.
here. We don't have Madeline this week. Otherwise we could get into her because she runs a lot. I'm sure she stretches. She's always in great shape. But she couldn't make it, so it's just you and I. And we have like three like topics that we're pretty passionate about. Like we kind of went back and forth on text, and we like literally want to talk about them. I'm going to start with this one because this could just be taking out at some point, like in the middle of next year or 2024. We won't even have like a podcast. It'll just be this AI that will like in our like it'll copy our voice, and we'll just like tell it like what we want to talk about, and then it will come on and it'll be perfect Jessica, Tim, and Madeline conversation that we have no idea is even taking place. This Chat GPT stuff, I don't want to say it's scary. I'm completely fascinated. So people who don't know, OpenAI released Chat GPT, which is kind of an AI driven, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I mean, it's just artificial intelligence that you can like ask it questions. Like you can say, hey, like in the voice of Tim Sackett, write a 500 word blog post on why recruiting is so amazing. Right. And holy crap, it like, cause it has all the like thousands of posts I've done in the past. And within seconds, it just starts, you can watch it write it. Like within
Crazy.
seconds, it writes the whole thing. And I'm like, maybe it's not perfectly in my voice, and maybe it's not perfectly what I would say, but holy crap, it's probably 80% of the way there. And so then I'm
So
like going,
good.
okay, so you and I talked about like from a learning perspective, like what's the potential for this? And I think from like the recruiting perspective, because we already know conversational AI is doing a lot with like mass volume hiring and stuff like that. And I'm like, but it still has some tweaks. One of the things that conversational AI still struggles with is when a candidate goes completely off script, or a candidate is just frustrated knowing that they're in this kind of process of chat. They just want to get out of it and they want to talk to a real human. The AI has a real struggle with that. And I think this is GPT-3, they said like maybe Q1 of this year, Q2, it'll be GPT-4 will be released, which is, they say, like, I don't even know how they measure this, is 10 times more like better in terms of accuracy and just
Oh,
better.
crazy.
Um, But like now, if you're a candidate and like the conversational AI would go, well, what's your name? And you give them your name, what's your email? And then you're like, hey, I just really want to talk to a real person. Would actually come back to you and say, oh, I totally understand. Like, so I can get you to the right person, can you tell me what you want to talk about? I don't really want to apply to a job. I really just have a quick question before I would go down that path about like where specifically the location is. Let's say I'm in like Dallas, Fort Worth, and I live in Fort Worth, and this thing's in North Dallas. There's no way I want that job because it takes too long to commute. And it would come back and say, okay, hold on a sec, and all of a sudden it would come back and say, what can I help you with? I
Yeah.
mean, it would totally understand and be able to kind of have that conversation. And I'm just like, this can be a game changer at so many levels. On the learning side, like, but what's the potential of this?
Oh my gosh. Well, so like people, I feel like people have to actually try it out themselves to really see how powerful it is. And before I answer your question, like the thing that made me a believer. So my husband has been like messing around with it. He'll keep sending me these things saying, "Look, I just asked it to do this," and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." But then I decided I was like, "Okay, tell it to write me a letter." As if I said, tell it to write a thank you letter after having had a job interview. And when it spit
Mhm.
back the results to me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is really good. So I think you got to see it to really believe it for yourself,
Yeah.
come up with the question you want it to respond to, and then see it. And now that I've had a chance to see it, I think anytime there is an exercise or a task that involves writing, whether it's learning or otherwise, like I can imagine a world where I say, I need to write a business email about A, B, and C. And it's simply doing a first draft where I get into the mode of, in
Yeah.
my case, myriadizing it or putting it a little bit more in my voice, but it's going to get smarter over time. Or
Yeah.
also just being the one to edit so that it feels more me. I just feel like the time savings that exists to not have to stare at a blank email, a blank Word document, a blank PowerPoint, and have something as like that starting point is really fascinating because I think people are going to be scared of it, like, oh, this is going to take jobs or this is going to take, creativity out of it. But like Madeline kind of mentioned this at one point around like there's a different skill set that potentially starts to emerge. And I
Yeah.
just think like there's this opportunity to accelerate and do things more quickly and really like put the value add effort into making it more in voice of your company, making it more specific to you. And I think when it comes to like developing and writing learning content, whether it's like the visuals, the writing, whatever it might
Hmm.
be, I just think there's so much opportunity here, let alone like you can like all the customer service and other business, use cases that are out there. It's just writing. I feel like, and actually Katie and I have talked about this. I don't know that we have as strong of a writing culture today. And I think that we're always looking around to say like, who are the good writers around us? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
for me, this has so much potential.
No, I'm totally bought in. The other piece of this that I think people don't really, I'm working on a keynote that I'm going to deliver at HRM, so the HR Tech Asia, basically in Singapore in May, and it's Employee 3.0. So if you think about like this evolution of employees from laborers, which was the vast majority of human history, we've been laborers. We actually had to do the work. And then over the last really 30, 40 years, we've kind of had this creator economy. It
Hmm.
started with like animation and, and kind of now is like, I mean, everybody's a creator, right? With this advent of this kind of, very purposeful AI, we become narrators. We no
Mm,
longer have to create. You no longer have to sit and write a business email. AI will do that for you, but you have to narrate the voice you want, the topics you want. So you still have to know, but then somebody else is going to be doing the work, right? It's almost like having like your own kind of administrative assistant, but but at a level where the administrative assistant actually knows everything.
totally. Yeah.
and and the other piece that I think we'll start to see come out in technology is like think about yourself in like an LMS and like okay, so you go out, you do an RFP, and you get this big LMS, and you do some configuration, you do some customization, and then literally after 60 days of using it, you go, oh, there's one more thing that I would love to have changed, right, or do differently. And you and I have been around like enough. You go, okay, well, the software company will go, for sure, we can do that. It's going to be 6 figures. It's going to take 9 months. And, and then at the end, when it's done, it still won't be the way you want. Imagine now as an LMS, like, or a learning leader, like you could actually just go and talk to the AI in real time. It would show you what you're narrating. Like, here's what I want. Then it would show it and go, oh, wait a minute. I didn't actually want that there. I want it over here and I want it to do this. And then the AI would be going, well, realize if you do this, it's going to have some downstream impact. Okay. So then I don't want that. Like, and it's just this narration of what we want to do becomes really this employee 3.0. And I'm like super excited and hopeful, right, about what potentially that could do. I mean, it creates a whole other host of potential issues around like just the vast capacity that will increase. And so then we start to go, wait a minute, what do we do then with, all these people that don't have to work, 40, 50, 60 hours a week anymore because AI is doing so much of this. But
Yeah.
the potential is amazing.
Like on a very basic level, like this is what I'm gonna say is very basic, but I think it's very real. I feel like this is going to force us, like there's a behavior change. So just like as an example, when I've called a customer service like number for something recently, like it said to me, tell me what kind of help you're looking for. And it's wanting for you to converse. And I'm like, I know this is a machine I'm talking to. So
Yes.
I won't talk to it like a human. I'll say, help with a restaurant reservation, or like,
Yeah.
something that doesn't, like, I'm trying to sound like a robot thinking I'm talking to a robot. And it's really hard to like break yourself out of that,
Mhm.
because like I found myself like at one point yelling operator, operator, and it's probably not
Yeah.
even looking for me to
I
say
want to talk to the
operator.
real person. Yeah.
I won't even say I want to talk to a real person. I'm just yelling operator, human. And it's like, I don't even know how to talk conversation to a machine, even though it's wanting me to and being trained to like look for my human conversation. So I can't like
Yeah.
wrap my head around it fully. I got some rewiring that needs to be done in my own brain.
No, I know. It is one of those kind of crazy things. I just I've been doing this kind of diagnostic and interviewing all these people here in the last week, um and I take notes. Like I just a note taker. I like writing down on like pen and paper. And one of the people I was that I'm actually doing this with was like, "Hey, can we just turn on transcription on like Teams?"
Oh,
And
yes.
and so I did it, and I'm talking, but I'm finding myself watching myself talk, like it's like immediately in real time transcribing what I'm saying, and I'm like, "This I can't." You have to turn it off. You can't. Like it's
It's so
so like,
distracting.
yeah, it's so distracting. And then I was talking to somebody whose first language they're from India, so is that not Farsi? What's that? Anyways,
Well, there's a
so
lot of languages. Yeah,
so
yeah.
so English as a second language was a little broken, not bad. I mean, very good, but like, I was like shocked at how this transcription was just money. Like it was right on, in terms of being able to describe that as well. And I'm just like, wow, like yeah, like the technology and the ability for them to kind of be aware and pick up like all of this stuff. We're in for some big changes. So more to come. I mean, really, over the last probably 4 weeks, this has exploded, and
Totally.
technology is actually behind this right now. I mean, they're behind the eight ball on this. There's not enough people, I think, testing this out from a technology perspective to really understand how robust this could be. And so I think over the next like 2023, 2024, we're going to see more and more technology really come out. Think about employee services, think about like self-service, all of this stuff, to actually be having employees to be able in real time, real voice, just say, look, I need to know what my vacation balance is, and how do I actually tell somebody I need to take next Monday off for a
Yeah.
doctor's appointment or whatever. And like within, I mean, literally seconds, like, hey Tim, you have this many hours, and then can I help you turn in schedule that time. And even like from, imagine like employees with their benefits, like how hard it is, like, oh, I know I need to go to the doctor and get my annual physical, but it sucks to have to call and go like, what's your insurance and what's this, and just to be able to go and say, yeah, you know what, I need to go get my annual physical, can you schedule that for me, and like just like it's just done, and you'd be like, okay, I am in love with whatever your AI name is, can you please
I
name
need
yourself?
that. I need that in my life.
We all
Yeah,
need that, you know? By
yes.
the way, you're also like on your lunch hour, you're sitting there watching your TikToks and you turn the AI on and said, "Hey, I need to order my groceries. Here's what I want." And then it just does it.
Oh, can it order, like, my kids' stuff, like,
For
know,
sure.
Bobby needs these
It can do their
shoes.
homework. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, great. Love it. I mean, I'm just gonna sit back and watch more Netflix while it does the work. I love it.
I know. The dystopian version of all of this becomes we're all sitting in some Barca lounger with a headset on, getting fat and like being fed through a tube. I
Yeah,
actually think I think the hopeful vision of all of this becomes you now can actually work 8 or 10 hours a week, and you can spend all that other extra capacity doing good for the world, doing good for your kids, doing good for yourself. Like to me, it opens up a better version of the world that we would want to have, right?
Hey, we're the payroll baddies, and our mission is to make payroll fun and relatable.
And call out industry when they hear it.
You gotta call it out. You gotta call it like you see it. But we also gotta shine a light on all those unsung payroll heroes out there, making sure we get paid.
Yeah, those are the real payroll baddies out there, and we love sharing their stories and showing them love.
With gold chain and everything, baby.
By the way, SAP is the best payroll out there, and if you don't like it,
Get out.
well, I mean, this is like kind of related to, an episode we did where we were talking about what women executives potentially outsource in terms of, labor so that
Yeah.
they can be an
Oh,
executive.
yeah.
I mean, if I could outsource some of these things to AI so that I have more time to do the things
Yeah.
that, really matter, like that's part of that vision of, a utopian future, not dystopian future that
Yeah.
like you're painting for me where I can like do things with my kids or enrich my own self in some ways. So I'm going to be
Jay,
optimistic with you.
yeah, like, don't you think a lot of the stress we carry too is not really I'm not stressful about like my relationships and my kids, or I'm not stressful about my job, or I'm not stressful about my physical well-being. I'm stressful about it all because it all doesn't fit. So you're constantly
Yeah.
making these priority decisions. And if we had the ability to actually have that kind of help in our life, like all of a sudden, all of that kind of mental well-being and stress kind of just melts away, and we can actually focus on, still be, I mean, imagine if you only had to work 10 hours a week versus the 70 that you work now, like you're constantly on. But imagine like if it's all you knew you had to do is like, hey, I'm going to do 2 hours today. You could be amazing in 2 hours. Like you could do, like you would be such a better employee. You would be such a better spouse, a better mom, a better whatever. Like all of that stuff becomes better. So again, I have a very utopian hope of that. Versus I think a lot of people are scared as hell of like the AI, like somehow running our lives and taking over. And I'm like, they can take over a lot of that crap we do. All right. We're going to switch gears. HBR, the Harvard Business Review, launched an article. I sent it to you guys because I was so like taken aback by how bad it was, and the data wasn't bad. So here's the title: No, comma, remote employees aren't becoming less engaged, because we've heard from a lot of CEOs and companies that are saying, "Hey, come back to work because productivity is down, engagement, like all of these things." And so, from the University of Texas at Austin, a researcher basically went out and said, "Oh, well, let's verify if this is true or not." And all they did was pull data from like Teams and Outlook, and they made this correlation to say, "Oh, it looks like people who work remotely have more Teams meetings and more spontaneous Teams meetings, so they must be more engaged." And I'm like, huh? And immediately the question popped in to say, if I'm in the office working and I need to go have a spontaneous meeting because Jessica's down the hall and I have a question for her, I'm not going to call you on Teams. I'm going to walk 50 feet down the hall and I'm going to have a conversation with you. That's never going to show up
Never.
as a measurable like piece of data. And so I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, is to believe that more meetings equals more engaged or more measurable, especially when you're talking one or the other. And then a lot of this, you couldn't even, like, nobody was using Teams 3 years ago, right before the pandemic. So it's like, you can't sit there and say, of course, like if you take a look at Teams meetings every single year, in office, out of office, it work from anywhere, the numbers have gone through the roof because because we keep using these tools more and more. And so I'm just like, Jay, like give me some feedback on this entire, like, how, like, engagement equals more meetings. I'm shocked by this.
I'm totally shocked by it too. I mean, first, I do love me some HBR, and I was
I
so
do
happy to
too. I do
see
too.
like my latest issue come in the mail. I still get it in the mail because I want like that tangible thing to flip through and read. But like for them to do this piece on engagement as defined by meetings, I feel like is just a little bit of a silly proposition because you and I think everyone listening have been on plenty of meetings or calls where you have people there who are not even engaged in the conversation. They may not have their camera on, or maybe they do have their camera on, but you're pretty sure they're multitasking the whole time. Like for me, engagement is like about, people's level of commitment and happiness with something or how much they're interacting. Like simply showing up does not mean that you are engaged. And, the same goes for like simply showing up and like, the whole argument about hybrid and coming back to work. Simply showing up to work doesn't also mean that you're engaged either. Like presence in and of itself, whether it's virtual or in office, doesn't mean engagement. And I think that like for, us to quantify engagement as simply meeting with one another just is like this really wacky way to measure it because I think there are a lot of people that show up for something but doesn't mean they're engaged. Doesn't mean you're engaged.
No, I mean, there's going to be people that show up to work every day and they're even early and they even stay late. And they could be some of your like least engaged people that
Yeah.
you have. They
Yeah.
just know how to play the game better. I have the same issue with productivity and performance where the people who are pro like remote work are just like, remote work, it's proven that we're more productive. And I'm like, that's the dumbest that's when you say that, immediately I discount your intelligence because I'm like, no, here's what you understand is that you're either more productive, the same productive, or lower productive. Everybody's going to fall in that spectrum somewhere. And just because you change from being in office to going home, you actually might be more productive. Good job. You might be, at least you might be like the same productive. But there's a lot of people that will also be way lower productive because now they have so many other things, that are happening in their house, that they're not used to or whatever that might be. To say blank, like broadly, that you're going to say everybody's more productive who works remotely is just dumb. Like it's just the same thing of saying, hey, just because we bring everybody back to the office, they're going to be more productive. That's also another dumb statement, right?
Yeah.
Because you have people who will come back to the office and because of the commute, because of the stress, because of whatever, they'll actually be lower productive. But you'll also have people that will be more productive. Our goal as organizations and leaders should be, let's find the environment you're most productive in, actually measurably most productive, not what you feel is most productive. And
Yep.
let us help you like get in and be in that environment the most that you can. Right. And I think people struggle with that. They don't understand. They're just like, no, I want to work at home. I was interviewing a potential HR leader for a client the other day. And she was just like, well, is this fully remote? And literally the actual corporate headquarters from where she lives is like, she's like, it's not even a 3-minute drive from my
Oh
house.
my gosh.
And she goes, well, I will only go in one day a week. I want 4 days remote. And I'm like, they're only asking right now, they're hybrid. So they're 2-3. And she had, and again, way better job, way better pay. And she was like, nope. And I'm just like,
Wow.
wow. Like, and this is a high level, like leading HR kind of like for an organization that's pretty fairly large. And I was just
Mm.
like, okay, good for you. I guess if you don't, I mean, but I was just shocked by that, like so turned off that, you just like, there was no way she was changing her schedule. And I was like, okay, like, I guess that's for you. But back to the HBR thing. I just, I'm always like fascinated by how academics think versus like people who are actually practitioners in the field,
Yeah.
to believe
Totally.
that they can measure engagement by some random thing like meeting and schedules, and how crazy that is. All right, last
By the
topic.
way, though,
Sorry.
before we move on from the topic, just as like a point of irony, like I have to say, at least for us in a corporate setting, one of the things that we've been spending some good time trying to contemplate is people actually have meeting fatigue and are quite
Yeah.
frustrated, and there's a high level of they're low, not, I don't want to call it low engagement, the potential for lower engagement, because people have meeting fatigue. And so we've actually been trying to get creative around how do you get really crisp and sharp on when do you need a meeting, who needs to be in the meeting, because in a virtual environment, it's just become too easy to just have a bunch of people invited and show up and them not know what do they need to do in it. So I actually worry that the opposite is the thing that needs to be looked at is like over reliance on meetings. Like people don't want to be in meetings all day. They want to be able to step away and actually do the work. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know about this
You know,
HB.
I always like I've had this happen in a couple of like large enterprise organizations where when I was a leader, it happened to me first, like in my career, early in my career, and then as I became a leader, I just like stole the idea and adopted it, and it worked so well. Which was, I will not come to a meeting where you don't send me an agenda 24 hours before.
Love that.
And that agenda has to be a detailed agenda with who's going to be there, the timing of like the topics you want and the things you want to talk about. Because what you would find immediately is people that would schedule you for an hour, they really only need 15 minutes or 30 minutes or
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah.
Or if they didn't find it valuable enough to actually have an agenda and for me to show up, then I was just, you're wasting our time and our resources, and I wasn't going to do it. And the number of meetings like falls, and the length of meetings falls. And so like, and again, if you want to have a meeting and you want to pull in a bunch of people and a bunch of resources from the company, then value our time and send us an agenda and let us know what we're talking about. And then again, if there's something I need to bring to that meeting, if there's something you're going to have me lead in that agenda, whatever that might be. But like I've showed up to way too many meetings in like big enterprise corporate settings that all of a sudden somebody would call, like I get, got invited, and then like we're in the meeting, and then they would go, okay, Tim, can you like help us with this? And I'm like totally unprepared. Like, what are you talking about? Like I got invited to come here and you're now asking me to lead this meeting. Like, what the hell's going on?
An agenda and a pre-read. Those are things I love. I love it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we just came out of the holiday season. We saw a lot of companies either, or they were going to see a bunch of layoffs, right? We're still going to see layoffs in this year. But when you do layoffs, the hard thing to do is like, hey, let's have year-end bonuses and parties and like all of this stuff. So like started to see this cost cutting coming in the last month or two. And Jay, you and I wanted to have a discussion as we take a look at like office parties and like all these like free food, like in the startups, like all this stuff is getting canceled now. Is some of this stuff, should it be canceled? Should like can we still have great employee experience and events without spending like tons of money? I'll tell you, and I'll start it with here and then I'll give it to you, is one of the best things we do in our own office is like and it seems like just random, like one of my leaders will go, hey, it's been a while since we've had lunch, let's do a potluck. Our potlucks are amazing. We have people who love to cook. Everybody brings a dish to pass, and we come in and have more food than is humanly possible to eat. And everybody's happy and everybody's conversing. We spend time together. And at the end of the day, there's no money spent. I mean, there's money in terms of you bought a dish to pass, but you're probably going to have lunch anyways. Um, and I'm like, that's to me is like a low budget way to have like great employee experience. And we just tend to forget about that stuff. Now it's just like, oh, the company will pay to have some burrito company come in or some like crepes come or whatever. Like we have to go over the top with this stuff. And I think it's just crazy.
I think it is crazy. And it's like this question to ask ourselves of like, what really matters to people and what do they care about? And I think like, do people really want to have a holiday party? You know, maybe there are some cultures that do, and maybe there are some people that really do it well. But I don't know. I think like if you really were to have people give honest perspective on how much they enjoy that thing, like is it the vast majority? I don't know. But like this past Christmas, there were three things I was actually involved in where it was like alternative holiday parties where I think like there's just a smarter way for people to think about like team engagement. One was we did it with, because it was a mostly virtual, group anyways. What we ended up doing was, it was like a little quizzy thing about, movies at the holiday time period. And then we literally just told people, bring your popcorn or your food, and like, we're just going to watch some holiday movies. And there were people who hadn't seen It's a Wonderful Life, for example, and we like watched a big snippet of that. And then we did it with Elf. And like, these are things that cost no money, but
Yeah.
I don't know, unless they were lying to me, it seemed like there was like high level engagement around it. But another example, I'll just share another one though, is we've seen some movement where instead of like throwing a big old holiday party, that we've made decisions to give like what we would spend for the cost of a big holiday party back to the community, to a nonprofit, or, somewhere, an organization around us that could really use it in a more meaningful, material way than us having a holiday party. So I think the whole alternative of like, what can you do in this space, I think is interesting, but also around like, what's going to make people feel good. I just don't know if it's a holiday party like as we know it. So I'm hoping like it kind of dies down, as well as for the reason of, I never want HR people in the holiday or party planning business. I know people have different opinions about it, but if it
You
also
and I
helps get
disagree.
HR, I know if it helps get HR out of that party planning job, I'm all for it.
Oh, I want to plan the party, man, because other people suck at it. I'm great. Like parties, I'm going to throw. People are going to have fun. Like, come on. One of the best events I ever did was to give my employees $100 bill and say they had 24 hours to give it away to somebody. Couldn't, I mean, it can't be in their family. Couldn't be another employee. And the stories that came back of people being at a grocery store and paying for someone's groceries, or going to, out to a restaurant and paying for a table with a mom and a dad and, 4 kids or whatever. It was amazing. And again, that's like giving back to the community in different ways. That was very personal to individuals. I mean, we were in a conference room because we said like, hey, 24 hours from now, we're going to come back to this conference room and we're all going to share our stories. And there was people literally crying, sharing their stories, and how emotional that was, because you just never know how you're going to make somebody's day. And again, is $100 going to change their life? It might not change their life, but it definitely, if you're having a really bad time and someone does something great for you, maybe it turns it around. Maybe it gives you some hope. So I asked Chat GPT right now, as we're on this podcast, do employees enjoy office parties, or are they a burden? And I'll read it verbatim. This is the response.
Yes.
It is generally believed that office parties can be fun and enjoyable way for employees to socialize and relax outside of work. However, it is important to consider the preferences and needs of individual employees, as not every employee may feel comfortable or enjoy participating in office parties. It is important for for organizers of the office parties to consider factors such as inclusivity, accessibility, and appropriateness of the events, and to ensure all employees feel welcome and included. Ultimately, whether or not employees enjoy office parties will depend on a variety of factors, including the nature of the event, the culture of the organization, and the individual preference of the employee. That's a pretty damn good response from AI.
I know. God, this chat GPT is just like, you know what? I just chat GPT people, when the time comes for you to like ingest the HR Famous podcast and then like issue new episodes on our behalf, please just make me wittier. That's like all
Yeah.
I want. It's
Yeah. Oh,
like
yeah.
I want like better like jokes like in the moment. I'm never like quick on the draw. So like make me witty, please.
Yeah, witty, quick response, and very empathetic, likable.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes. No, me, not you. You can still be like the Grinch and the mean one. I wanna be the likable one. Yes.
All right. Hey, next time, we'll be back with Jessica and I, and hopefully Madeline. I'm sure she will be back. And but this is what we have for the episode this week. So thank you everybody for another episode of HR Famous. For Jessica Lee, I'm Tim Sackett, and we are out.